Okay, thanks for joining everyone, and thank you so much, Yes Wellness, for having me on for this webinar tonight. I'm really excited about the topic we are going to cover, and Happy New Year to everyone. I am just going to ask everyone to mute their phones or their computers, just so there's no background noise. I do have the power, I believe, to do it as well. Happy New Year, Ashley. There we go. Okay, so let's get started. Cheers to a new year and 5 ways to boost energy and feel great. My name is Joleen Gruber. Again, thank you for joining me. A little bit about me. I've been a nutritionist for 20 years now. I'm a national educator with Organika. I'm also a mom, a hockey mom. I have 2 boys. They're 15 and 16 and a half. I'm also an athlete. I've played sports my whole life, so I love sports nutrition. I love holistic nutrition. I love everything nutrition. So hopefully you guys are interested as well. And before we get started, I'm just going to talk about, the 5 things that we're going to go over. So first and foremost, tonight we're going to talk about, morning routine, and hopefully, this isn't just the old boring kind of routines and stuff like that. I'm going to throw in a lot of tips and things like that for you guys, but we're going to go over finding a morning routine and what that entails. Breakfast. People always ask me what to eat for breakfast. Should we eat breakfast? Is it the most important meal? So I'll touch on some really important topics for breakfast. 3, we're going to talk about body pH and how you test it. Also, ways and ideas that what you can eat for lunch. Healthy snacks that we can swap out for number 4. I love talking about swapping things out. I don't like to say you can't have this, you can't have that. It's better to use the language like swap this out maybe for a couple weeks with something like this. And 5th, we're going to talk about vitamin D because, of course, January, it's cold. And if you're living in North America, in Canada, or the northern states in the US, we need vitamin D. So we're going to talk about ways we can get it and if we're getting enough. So first off, I'm really happy to say Organika is hosting this webinar. I work for Organika, and Organika is a natural wellness and beauty company from British Columbia in Canada. And we love helping people live healthier lives, and we've been doing it for the past 30 years. Actually, this summer is our 32nd anniversary. So we've grown from a humble line of supplements to an always evolving collection of natural health and beauty products, including Canada's number 1 selling collagen. So this is exciting. We've been number 1 in Canada for our collagen for I think 4 years now in a row, which is awesome. So I'm going to talk tonight about what to look for in collagen because collagen is everywhere right now. And I do get a lot of questions on collagen, so I'm going to break it down for you guys so you know what to look for and the different types and so on. We're also the 4th recognized brand in Canada, and that is huge. We're really excited for this because our quest is to guide people to better health through a genuine passion for wellness and innovation. So thank you. Congratulations. Ashley said I'm being number 1 for 4 years. Yes, that's really exciting. I think Organika was the first company to come out with collagen, and of course there's many great brands out there now. So I'll just talk about some things that you can look for when you're looking at collagen. But I will look on the chat box for any questions at the end. I'm going to kind of go through the presentation, and then I'll look at the questions at the end and talk about some fun stuff. So number 1, find your morning routine to start your day. I think this is so important. I say to my kids all the time, phones down, head up, because all day long our head is in the phone probably too much. But first thing in the morning, a lot of people get up, they go to their phones, they turn it on. It's a rule in my house that in the morning you don't turn your phone on until you've done everything you need to do. For my kids, it's getting themselves ready for school, brushing their teeth, washing, and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's a little bit different because I think it's really, and it's important for the kids too. I get them to do some of these things as well. But as adults, sometimes we're just rushing everywhere. So in the morning, don't rush. If you can get up even 30 minutes earlier so you're not rushing, that's a great idea. But don't go to your phone first thing in the morning. I think it's great. Open your door. Even, it was minus 18 here today. I live in Ontario. And I still always open the door, breathe in fresh air, stand out on my porch. And if it's sunny out, just receive the sun for a little bit and just don't rush. Fresh air in the morning is great. If you can go for a walk or a run, even better. Everyone knows the benefits of exercise, and you got to find what works for you. But there are studies that show if you do it in the morning, you feel great all day long. But there's also some benefits to getting your heart pumping first thing in the morning. And I say, a lot of people ask like, oh, should I eat before a run or a walk in the morning? And if you're going for a run or a walk and it's going to be less than an hour, say 45 minutes or less, we really as adults don't need to have a snack. Now, I mentioned I'm an athlete. I've played competitive soccer my whole life. Now I'm in my mid 40s, and I realize that, okay, I don't need to have a snack before every exercise I do. And I get the question a lot, do I need to eat before a run or a walk? And, we have enough calories on our body, especially if we need to lose weight, that we could utilize those calories for our run or our walk. So there's actually benefits to running or walking or exercising on an empty stomach. And of course, if you're going to do really long distance runs, I've done a marathon, I've done a bunch of half marathons just for fun, with friends, and our goal was to finish. But when you're getting to those long distances, yes, you need glycogen, you need carbohydrates, you need to replenish. But there are some benefits to exercising in the morning on an empty stomach. So that's one of the things for this year that I challenge people to try. You wake up, you can have your water, you can have some lemon and water in the morning, which is very great for body pH, which I'll go into. But that exercise, what it does is it steals those calories from your body. And I don't like to talk about calories. I like to focus on quality of foods over quantity. But just for the point of explaining this, if you say you have a bowl of oatmeal before you go for your run, that oatmeal goes into your stomach, and right away your body starts digesting that oatmeal and working on that oatmeal. Well, wouldn't it be better for it to work on the fat on our body and use those calories as energy if we had weight to lose? So that's just a great tip. And of course, when you get back, you shower, you get ready for work or what have you, whatever you do during the day. And yes, thank you, Ashley. It makes sense. I know it does. And it's just kind of one of those things that it does make sense. It's kind of common sense, but sometimes we have to be reminded, right? And I personally have been doing this for a while, and I absolutely love it. Sometimes it's really cold, like I didn't feel like going for a run today, so I just went for a quick walk. But whatever you can do, it's great. And you know what? Let your body tell you when it's ready. You don't have to have breakfast right when you get up. Listen to your body and see how you feel. But the endorphins and the adrenaline that flow through your body post-run, it wakes you up, it puts you in a great mood. I know if I miss a workout, I'm so moody. And I think, okay, I'll do it after work. And then, oh no, the kids have hockey. I won't, and it keeps postponing in the day. I don't get it done. So I find morning is great because it sets you up for a great day. It sets a tone for your day. And it never hurts to start your day on a good foot, literally. All right, so I'm just going to make sure everyone's not having problems getting on. Perfect. Okay. So just move to the next slide here. So number 2, breakfast, as I was mentioning, is it the most important meal? So this is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about because I find a lot of people get confused when it comes to breakfast. Now, insulin resistance is a very big I want to say issue with North Americans. And when I teach this in person, I usually draw on the board. So I've created these slides so it looks like I'm drawing. So I'll go through them and like I'm drawing on the board. But basically, what we eat for breakfast sets us up for our day. And insulin resistance is, like I said, a real common issue, and getting to the root of it is really important. So what you eat for breakfast, if you think about our cells, so I just have a circle here on the screen, and that just represents a cell. We have thousands and thousands of cells in our body. And what happens in the morning is when you have your cells, you have these little doors, like that black door there. It just looks kind of like a little hole. It's like a receptor door. I'll put an R there for receptor. We have receptors on all of our cells. So what happens is when we have breakfast, whether we live in North America, a lot of people, it's a drive-through Tim Hortons, large double coffee, maybe a breakfast sandwich, and then they're off, right? And even if you have something at home, a lot of times it's that, maybe a bagel, cereal, or something like that. And what happens is when we eat carbohydrates, doesn't matter if they're, you know, a really good complex carbohydrate or a refined carbohydrate like pop in a bag of chips, our body knows when we have carbohydrates, it breaks it down to sugar. And then in our body, what happens is we produce insulin. That insulin grabs onto that. Only see speaker, not slides. Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Can someone else just type in the chat box if they can see my slides? Just want to wait for someone. Yes, okay, I guess. Okay, thank you. Someone posted that they can only see me, so maybe minimize me or close me and just so you can see the slides, because that's most important. Lisa said I can't. So it's something on your end, because I can see here my screen is shared, my camera is shared, and my audio is shared. So okay, so without further ado, okay, great, thank you so much, Carla. Swipe to the right. They're saying swipe to the right, and you should be able to see both. Thank you. Okay, so you can look in the chat box as well, because a lot of people are being very helpful in telling you what to do there. So this red arrow represents our insulin when it is produced, when we have a carbohydrate. It gets secreted from our pancreas. It grabs onto that sugar or carbohydrate that we just ate, and it takes it into our cell through those receptor doors, okay? So I'm just gonna minimize this here. So that's the insulin. And once that insulin takes that sugar into the cell, it turns it into something called glycogen. It turns it into something called glycogen. And that's why I have the G's there. G is for glycogen. So in our cells, in our liver, and in our muscles, we hold on to glycogen and we use it when we need it, like when we exercise or we work out or just our daily day-to-day activities. So what happens is over time, when we keep having, that double coffee with lots of sugar, those bagels, those refined carbohydrates for breakfast, our body keeps on producing insulin. Our bodies keeps producing insulin, and we're producing a lot of it. So we may not notice it earlier in our life, but as we get older, those receptor doors kind of get gummed up, and that's where I have that red kind of in the door, kind of gets gummed up like putting gum in a keyhole, okay? So the insulin's being produced, it's grabbing onto the sugar and trying to take it into the cells, but because it can't get in the cell, because it's gummed up, where does it go? That insulin just stays in our bloodstream here, okay? And what happens is too much insulin gets stored around the middle, and that's what a lot of people call it a muffin top. That insulin gets stored around the middle. I call it our insulin meter around the middle, and that's where we start to gain weight, mostly around the middle, and that's really from insulin, okay? So I hope that was a good visual. Usually in person, I draw it on the board, and I try to do that on the webinar. So I hope you guys got the gist of that. But basically, as I mentioned before, a typical North American breakfast. So let's think about what happens to our blood sugar. So when we have, let's say we take an apple, okay? And we're gonna throw that apple in the juicer. And all the skin and fiber from that apple kicks to the back of the juicer. I just wrote a little graph here. What happens? That apple juice is kind of a quick carb. It doesn't take too long to drink, and our blood sugar spikes. That green is the blood sugar, and it comes back down pretty quickly because the apple juice isn't going to hold us over very long. We get a high insulin spike, and as I mentioned, it's not going to sustain us very long. We're probably going to be hungry pretty soon after. And plus, because the apple juice is a pretty high sugar, our blood sugar is going to spike and then maybe even drop lower than it was before. But let's say the second day, we take that apple and we eat it with the skin on. we got some fiber. We have some fiber with that apple from the skin. It takes maybe a little bit longer to eat it, but we're going to have less of an insulin spike because that fiber from the skin actually sort of buffers that insulin spike from shooting up so high. So we have less of an insulin spike, and the apple with the skin on will hold us over a little bit longer, sustain us a little more. And let's say the third day, we take that apple, we cut it up, and we put almond butter on it. Now, almond butter has great essential fatty acids, so good fats. It also has some good protein in there. And the apple, of course, has the skin, which is a great fiber. So anytime we're adding protein, fat, and fiber to our meals, we're buffering that insulin spike. So our insulin spike will look more like this. We'll have less of an insulin potential because of the almond butter and the skin from the fruit, and it'll sustain us longer. So every time we're eating, we want to make sure, okay, do we have enough protein? Do we have enough essential fatty acids? Do we have some fiber? Because that really helps with our blood sugar, and it really, adding those fats, protein, and fiber buffers that insulin spike. So make sure you have them with every meal. So breakfast, when we have that typical North American breakfast, I use Tim Hortons as an example because we all know what it is. It doesn't have to be Tim Hortons, but those refined carbohydrates, that sets us up for a roller coaster of a blood sugar all day long. So it's almost like when our blood sugar is like a roller coaster, we're chasing our hunger all day long. I know, if there's a day that, my kids, on a Sunday or something like that, they want to make pancakes. If I have pancakes, so much sugar. I'm very sensitive to the sugar. And all day long, it's like you're chasing your hunger and you could eat all day. But if I change, and the way I usually do it is, I eat my breakfast when I feel like it. So I might go for my run or my walk in the morning, and then I'll come back and get ready for work and, have a tea, and some people have coffee. And you eat breakfast when you feel you're ready for breakfast. So there's no rule. Breakfast is breaking the fast, and you can break that fast whenever you like. So the best time to eat breakfast is really when you feel hungry. Listen to your body. And what should you eat for breakfast? Well, have some protein. Eggs are great. Protein shakes are great. Making your own smoothies are good. Maybe lay off the carbohydrates so much if you do have some fat to lose, and really focus on, that protein, fat, and fiber in the morning. A lot of people skip their breakfast and they do intermittent fasting. I personally love intermittent fasting. That's basically, it's basically showing you, it basically helps you eat between a certain window. So you can do some research on intermittent fasting, but it's really, delaying your breakfast and eating your meals through a window. So maybe between noon and 8 p.m. or 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. But really, what a lot of people do is they have their breakfast and they may have a coffee first. Some people are very sensitive to coffee, right? Coffee produces cortisol. Some people are fine. So you just want to be aware of how you feel with coffee if you're a coffee drinker. And a lot of people are asking, does coffee make you fat because, it produces cortisol? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. Like you've probably heard of bulletproof coffees or adding some MCT oil powder. Organika has a wonderful MCT oil powder. You can see the picture there. We also have a wonderful product called Super Brew Creamer. And these are just really good fats. The MCT oil powder is just 100% pure MCT oil powder. It's fabulous. It's dairy-free. And you just add it to your coffee. And what it does is it's a really good fat. So a lot of people love MCT oil powder before a workout, so they might have it before that. But some people just have it in their coffee because it tastes great and there's really good benefits to it. The Super Brew has the MCT oil powder in it. It has some grass-fed butter. It also has some ghee in there. So you've probably heard of bulletproof coffee. It's kind of that idea where you're having, yes, the MCT powder acts as a creamer. There was a question pop up there. So you put it in your coffee, whichever one you like, and it's really good because it tastes great, and you don't get that cortisol spike that some people get from coffee. So you have to think about cortisol because, I mean, that's a whole other webinar on its own. but cortisol is basically our stress hormone. So if you can imagine, our stress, so imagine you're driving down the road and you almost get in a car accident, and you're fine, but you're like, oh, and it scares you. You can really feel that cortisol rushing through your blood, right? That's cortisol, that's stress. And usually, it'll go back down on its own. But unfortunately today, a lot of people, we're wired and tired. We're staying up really late. We're getting up really early. We're rushing, rushing, rushing. And we may not feel, like we almost got in a car accident, but our body is responding like that. So we're producing a lot of cortisol. So caffeine, sometimes coffee, people are sensitive to it. So caffeine can elevate cortisol too in some people. That's where those good fats like MCT oil powder, super brew with the grass-fed butter, the ghee and the MCT oil powder come in, because it's really helpful because you're buffering that cortisol. So stress is a really important one. So I have another little diagram here. So just think about cortisol, okay? Your cortisol goes up, and every time our cortisol goes up, okay, we don't even have to eat. Okay, we could just be stressed. All right, I'm not even talking about coffee. We don't even have to eat. We can just be stressed and our cortisol goes up. Automatically, when our cortisol goes up, what else goes up? Insulin, our fat storing hormone. Oh, so that's unfortunate. So cortisol plus insulin, what does that equal? Belly fat. So that's why managing stress is really important. So, adding these fats and whatnot to our coffees are one way to buffer that cortisol spike. But if you're a really high stress person and you leave a high stress lifestyle, you want to work on the stress. So like I mentioned, that's another webinar on its own, but I just wanted to mention so you guys are aware of, that hormone cortisol and the hormone insulin play really big roles on our health and how we feel. So some things like bitter melon is amazing for blood sugar. If you can see the picture there, it almost looks like a cucumber, but Organika also has a product called Blood Sugar Control, and it's been found to increase insulin sensitivity. So what that means is sometimes people get confused, because I was confused when I first learned about insulin sensitivity. So when you're insulin sensitive, that's a good thing, because you want your insulin sensitivity to increase. Remember the diagram I showed with the receptors being gummed up and the insulin not being able to get in? That would be you're not very sensitive to the insulin. So you want your insulin sensitivity to be good. So this bitter melon has been a fruit that's been around for a long time and has been used to increase insulin sensitivity, which we all want. We all want that gum to go away from our keyholes and all that insulin to get in. So it kind of resembles a cucumber with bumpy skin. So if you can find them and you can eat them, that's great. But they're the most bitter of all fruits. So that's why people love, supplements. So it really helps to control those blood sugar levels. It is fabulous. I mean, some people always ask about apple cider vinegar too. I love putting apple cider vinegar in salad dressings and so many other things. So if you make salad dressings on your own, add some apple cider vinegar to it, because it's amazing. Apple cider vinegar before a meal or with a meal is great for digestion. So you can just take it right off the spoon. And what happens is, there's underactive stomach and overactive stomach. Most people have an underactive stomach as adults, and all that means is we don't have enough enzymes to break down some of the foods that we eat. So apple cider vinegar is a great digestive aid to help break down our food, help with digestion. So it's sourced from fermented apples, and it's widely used to help in the digestive process, and it increases the stomach acid basically and the digestive efficiency. It also helps with bloating, nausea, flatulence, but it's also known to increase metabolism. So that's why people love it. So it's great to take, at lunchtime, before your lunch, and at dinner time. Organika has a great cider vin, same thing, in a capsule. So it's super convenient, so you can take them before. But it's great because it's very good for your body pH, which I'll get into in a minute. It leaves what's called an alkaline ash. So it's really balancing for your body pH. But a lot of people ask, oh, what supplements can I take for fat loss or metabolism? But I'd say these two are my favorite, whether you eat them from food or you take the supplement. It's fabulous to get um, the metabolism going and just get in that habit. It works so well. So that brings me to body pH. I had mentioned that apple cider vinegar is fantastic for body pH. And just a little bit about pH. pH is an indicator of acidity or alkalinity and the overall health of your body. So um, this is a pH scale here at the bottom, and it runs from 0 to 14, if you can remember grade 9 science. And 7 is the neutral or the midpoint. So you want to be neutral. You don't want to be very alkaline or very acidic because that's not healthy. Your body always strives to be in balance. So if you're a little bit more alkaline, you'll be lower than 7. If you're a little bit more acidic, you'll be higher than 7. But 6.4 to 7.4 is neutral. And of course, there's many foods that are more acid forming and more alkalinizing, okay? But the key is you don't want to eat all these, alkalinizing foods because you want to be neutral. So a little bit of both is great. You want balance. But what happens is with modern diets today, people are just eating too much junk food and their body is more acidic. Their pH is more acidic. So you can test with pH strips. A lot of health food stores, and I can check in with the Yes Wellness at the end. Sometimes pH strips are sold in health food stores, and you can use them to test your pH. But when you're more acidic, you're more of a host for disease and illnesses. So you really want to do things to help neutralize that body pH. So diet is a great way. So when you think about your dinner plate, we should be consuming about 75% alkalinizing foods and 25% acidic foods. So let's look at your dinner plate. Let's say you have a piece of salmon or a piece of meat or chicken, and that takes up a quarter of your plate. I personally love to do 3/4 of a beautiful salad. So that would be perfect, right? That'd be 75% alkalinizing foods because the salads are more alkalinizing. And most people today have the opposite. So they have 75% acid forming and 25% alkalinizing. So you really want to consume foods from both categories, but the bottom line is your body usually needs more alkalinizing. So a great habit to get into is having some fresh lemon in water, just a real lemon. Cut it in quarters and just squeeze it into room temperature water first thing in the morning before you go outside for that exercise or go out for that fresh air. And that is great. And people always say, well, lemons are so acidic. How come they're alkalinizing? Well, after you drink or you eat a lemon, it leaves what's called an alkaline ash, which means it's very alkalinizing for your body pH, even though it tastes acidic. Apple cider vinegar is the same. Apple cider vinegar is actually the most alkalinizing, most acidic food that's the most alkalinizing. So it's kind of confusing, but greens are great to add during the day to alkalinize the body. So you can't get enough greens, especially today. So here's a little chart I did. So obviously there's many more that you can add to this. You could probably even Google, acid forming foods, alkalinizing foods, and you'll probably get a list on Dr. Google. But chlorella is one of the most, my favorite alkalinizing foods, along with apple cider vinegar. That's what ACV stands for. Spirulina, lemons, asparagus, fermented veggies, beets, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all the good foods are alkalinizing. And then I don't want to say bad foods, but like, beef, grains, dairy, animal protein, alcohol, refined flours, drugs, chemicals, molasses, candy, honey, maple syrup, canola oil, those are more acidic. So of course you want to, have more of the alkalinizing foods. So I mentioned chlorella, and we've been getting a lot of questions about chlorella. But basically, it's a type of algae that grows in fresh water. So it's sometimes called seaweed, and it's used for nutrition. It's a superfood, and it's one of the most nutrient-dense superfoods on the planet. It's a really good source of protein. It's got lots of vitamins and minerals, and of course, tons of antioxidants. So very alkalinizing, of course. It's packed with antioxidants. So it's great, and it's also vegan friendly. So it's pretty much great for everybody. So Organika has tablets and powders. So some of the questions we get is, well, what's the difference? Is one better than the other? Chlorella in a powder form, you can incorporate into many types of foods and just, hard to pronounce, but great for the body. Yes, hard to pronounce. Yes, sometimes it is. But chlorella in a powder form, you can incorporate to foods. You can throw it in really anything, and it's more like a functional food. It does have a bit of a algae-like taste. So tablets are a way to get all the benefits and avoid the taste. If you're like, no, I don't want that, I just want to get the benefits, tabs might be a way for you to go. But it takes 6 tablets to get the same quantity as 1 teaspoon of powder. So that can be a factor for some. Okay, feel free to take your phone and take a picture. This is one of my favorite recipes. It's a salad, which you can put anything in your salad, just use the mixed greens. Throw anything that's wilting in your vegetable drawer in your fridge, throw it in the salad. It's the salad dressing that's key. I've been making this for years and it's so good, and it's a way to, I don't want to say hide the chlorella taste, because I personally, you get used to it after a while, but some people when they first open it, they might be like, ooh, but I think the vinegars in there really kind of mask it, but you're getting all the good benefits. So I do everything in a mason jar. So 1 to 3 or more garlic cloves chopped. You could use any oil. I have hemp seed oil, flaxseed oil, avocado oil. Just use a good oil. Don't use canola or vegetable or something like that. 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar, whatever you choose. 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And extra virgin is great for salads, because when you look at extra virgin olive oil opposed to olive oil, the olives are cold pressed and nothing's been done to them in the extra virgin, so it's a little bit cleaner. 1 teaspoon of chlorella powder, and you could add some sea salt and pepper too. Sea salts are really good for electrolytes, right? Those minerals that we need. Keep it in the mason jar, shake it. Sometimes I double the recipe and keep it in the fridge, and you use it on your salad. So it's really good. I hope you guys give it a try, and hope you took a picture there of the recipe. But again, the sea salt in there is a very good electrolyte, and we can't get enough electrolytes. Speaking of electrolytes, we need them, of course. So I try and throw electrolytes in where I can. And, you know, a lot of people are starting to realize that you don't have to be a marathon runner to need electrolytes. We all need them. They're essential for our cells, our organs, our body systems. And a lot of times people just don't feel well. Well, they have an electrolyte drink and that's what it was. So when your body becomes low on electrolytes, you can feel like not great. You can have a headache. Most of the population has like subclinical potassium deficiency and magnesium deficiency. So just that alone, people need electrolytes for. So people are usually heavy on sodium and calcium, but very low on the potassium and magnesium. So we need those. So you may not notice things, but maybe fatigue, some heart palpitations over time, headaches, like I mentioned, or you may just feel like, oh, I'm coming down with the flu, but no, you just need a good electrolyte drink. So those are really good to have on hand, just to keep your energy up and to, you know, feel good this year. I have 1 to 2 electrolyte drinks a day, and that's on a day that maybe I didn't get to exercise. So I think it's really important. The main thing you want to look for is no sugar. We don't want any extra sugars. There's lots of great brands out there. Organika has a new electrolyte, and it's peach strawberry, and then there's a mixed berry one. So they're amazing, and they've added some of their collagen in there, so you're getting the extra little protein there. So I usually like to make one in the afternoon, just if I'm driving on the road for work, and I just always have it in my car. And you're getting those electrolytes. You're not getting that added sugar. You're getting the magnesium, potassium, and some good sodium, and you're getting some vitamin C, and of course the benefits from the collagen, which I'll get into. But you don't want one with sugar, because we get enough sugar in our diets. Then number 4 is healthy snack swaps. And I love talking about snack swaps because I don't consult anymore. I did many years ago as a nutritionist, but I always used to encourage people, well, swap it out for something. Don't think, you know, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that. No, swap it for this and see how you feel. So I always say swap your afternoon snack for a bone broth tea. Like, don't have that coffee or a pop or you know, juice or something like that. Usually in corporations, you know, they have the snack machines with the chips and the chocolate bars, and then the Coke machine. At 3 o'clock, that's the time that everyone goes down because their blood sugar's low, because maybe they had not the best lunch, and they need more sugar to bring themselves back up. But again, getting on that blood sugar roller coaster is something we don't want to do. We want our blood sugar to be even, so we're not chasing our hunger all day long, and we have energy this year, right? We don't want to feel the lulls of, being on that roller coaster ride of blood sugar, because we don't feel good, and then we gain weight around the middle. So bone broth is a fabulous way. It's a liquid for those of you that aren't familiar with bone broth, but basically boiling animal bones. Chefs use it as stock as a base for soup, sauces, and gravies. Some people drink it on its own, and that's what I do a lot of the time. I usually come home and I'll just boil a kettle. I'll put some bone broth in a cup and add the hot water. And usually I'll make bone broth from the bones after Thanksgiving. Always after Christmas, I'm making a nice soup, and I boil the bones for 24 hours, and then strain them and use the broth. So unfortunately, I don't do that every day, but some people do, and that's hugely beneficial. So that's what bone broth is. But what Organika does is we make our bone broths into a dried powder, so you can enjoy it every day. So it's rich in protein, it's rich in collagen. So when you think about, if you make a turkey at Christmas time and the next day you take it out of the leftovers out of the fridge, all that jelly around it, that's like collagen. And the gelatin, it's very rich in minerals and collagen. It's so good for us. So that's the stuff you want. So we've boiled the bones down and we've dried them, so you can enjoy it every day. And it's super easy and it's super clean. It has, like I said, great source of protein, collagen, gelatin, glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, chondroitin, so many minerals. When my kids were small, like toddlers, I used to give them bone broth in a sippy cup, just lukewarm. They would love it, but it's loaded in minerals, right, for teeth and bones and growing. So it's a great way, to swap out that juice bottle or juice sippy cup for little ones if you have them at home with a bone broth. And you can put a little sea salt in there, even better, but really, really good. Great way to swap, something not so healthy in the afternoon. So you guys can try that. But there's 12 grams of protein, so you're getting good protein. Swap it for a carby snack, right? If you're getting too many high refined sugars. But sipping on bone broths are so great for the gut, and it helps to heal leaky gut. So it's also great for joint health and skin health and everything. But a lot of people, if they have issues with their gut, like their digestive system, and you're drinking bone broth, it can really help with that. So I love recipes. I love sharing recipes. So this is one of my favorites. Take a picture if you choose. It is so easy to do. It looks like it's a lot of ingredients. Sometimes if I see a lot of ingredients, I'm like, oh. But what I do is I do it in a crock pot. You can do it on the stove, whatever you like. I get my spices from just an Indian grocer at the end of my street. So it does look like a lot of spices. But what I do, I have like 5 or 6 little Tupperware containers. So I'll divvy the spices up into 5 containers, so I have 5 or 6 meals. So every time I make this dish, I have a container of all the spices, so I just dump it in. So it's super easy. So you just have to divvy it, every 5 or 6 times. So it makes it super easy when you're rushing or on the go at night. You got somewhere to be. But put everything in the crock pot. I put a little bit of water at the bottom of the pan, saute the onions and the garlic and the ginger, and then add the spices and let them bloom, and just let them cook for a little bit. Add a little water if you're running out of water, and then add the coconut milk, and the canned coconut, full fat, and then some tomato paste. If you don't have it, that's not a big deal. And then you add everything else and the chicken, and you just leave it in the crock pot. It is amazing. I add 2 tablespoons, sometimes 3, of Organika's turmeric chicken bone broth, and that really gives it a little bit of spice and brings everything together. So I encourage you guys to try that one. We also have a great keto cracker recipe if people are really watching their carbs, and it's with our veggie broth. The veggie broth tastes amazing, but you can just follow the recipe there and take a picture and let me know how it goes. So I spoke about bone broth. I did mention that bone broth does have some collagen in there, which is great. And people sometimes are confused. Well, what's the difference? Bone broth, collagen, which one should I choose? So basically I'll go over collagen now. So as I mentioned, bone broth, has those minerals. You do have some collagen in there, so it has a little bit of everything, whereas collagen is the most abundant form of protein in the body, and it gives our body strength, elasticity, tone, and its structure. So you think of it as the glue that holds everything together. Okay, it can be found throughout our bodies, from muscle fibers to bone matrix to our blood vessels. It's the protein responsible for strong and flexible connective tissue. So it's really, really important. In our 20s, our collagen production goes down 1% every year. So you want to really make sure that you're getting that collagen somehow through food, supplements, and whatnot. So it's a great way to make sure you're keeping healthy and I'm just going to fix this here. Sorry, someone clicked something. Making sure you're getting enough protein. So what is collagen? Basically, it helps with preventing fine lines and wrinkles, brittle nails, cellulite, sagging skin, loss of moisture, weak ligaments, aching joints, arthritis, cartilage injuries, so many things, right? Like if you can imagine that we start losing, not losing, but our production goes down every year by 1% in our mid 20s, that's a lot, right? So I even found, like, I played competitive soccer, and when I started using collagen in my early 40s, I could really notice a difference, and I wasn't that sore, which was exciting. there's um, there's actually over 27 types of collagen, but there's three main ones. So I'll break down the most common types so you can see, in our body we have type 1, 2, and 3, and depending on what you're looking for or what your need is, you can choose which one's right for you. So type 1 collagen, it forms in our hair, skin, and nails. Think of it as the whole exterior of your body. Okay, so if you're like, oh my gosh, I just had a baby, I'm losing lots of hair, type 1 collagen would be great for you. Type 2 collagens are connective tissue, joints, ligaments, cartilages. My husband, a lot of his friends are taking a lot of type 2 collagen because they golf, their knees are sore in the summer, and they're at that age where everything's starting to hurt. So I always recommend type 2 collagen. And then type 3 collagens are muscle fibers, organs, liver, lungs, and kidneys, and joints as well. So really, depending on the need, you can pick a collagen that's good for you. But supplemental collagen is mainly found as type 1, as well as combination of both type 1 and 3. So you'll see those together. But how it's sourced plays a role in the type and the way it's extracted. So for example, bovine is sourced from the hides of cattle, and it's naturally high in type 1 collagen. And the chart to the right just shows, you can see bovine is from the hides of cattle, and it's high in type 1 and 3 collagen. Marine is a fish, and it's from fish scales and skin, and that's very high in type 1. Chicken is high in type 2. So that's from the sternum, bones, and cartilages. It can be very confusing when you go into a health food store and there's so many different kinds. So what makes a great collagen supplement? That is what you want to really understand. So before you buy a collagen supplement or you commit to taking it, as a routine, make sure you do your research and remember that not all collagen products are the same. There's so many benefits to taking it, as I mentioned, but you want to ensure you get the best collagen in the cleanest source possible. If this is something you're going to be having every day, and I use it to fill in the gaps nutritionally, I try and eat well most days. Of course, I cheat now and then, but I think of collagen as filling in the gaps because I might not get enough from my food. So there's a few important factors to think about when choosing a collagen supplement. So number one is 100% hydrolyzed. It's the enzymatic process of breaking it down into smaller particles or into a smaller molecule, a peptide. So sometimes you might see peptide hydrolyzed, that's basically the same, and it makes it more bioavailable, which means absorbable by our bodies. So it can be used by the body to help with collagen formation. So you want to look for 100% hydrolyzed. Sourcing is really important. You want it to be sustainably sourced. You want it to be grass-fed and pasture raised. You want it to be free of growth hormones, antibiotics, heavy metals, and toxins. And you want it to be tested for GMOs. So you should be able to see this on the label. And if you don't, probably not one that you want to choose. As I mentioned about hydrolyzation, whenever something is hydrolyzed, it's odorless and flavorless. So you're probably going to want that if you're mixing in different flavors. And when it's hydrolyzed, you can mix it in hot or cool liquid. So that's why you can add it to coffee. If you go to Organika.com and check their blog, there's so many amazing recipes. If you follow them on Instagram, there's lots of recipes too. But people throw it in their coffee, they throw it in with their MCT oil powder or their super brew. But you want to get a good, clean, 100% hydrolyzed collagen, and it should have no flavor or taste, and it should be heat stable, which means you can throw it in hot liquids or hot foods and make it a lifestyle, right? It can be simple as putting in a coffee or smoothie or yogurt, or you can bake with it. So there's lots of things you can do with it. How much do I need every day? That's the magic question. So there's a little formula at the bottom, so feel free to figure that out. But everybody needs a different amount. Of course, if you're an elite athlete, you're going to need more protein, right? If you have joint issues, you might want a little bit more too. But as little as 10 grams a day is a great start. So most people will notice their nails and their hair grow faster. Maybe their joints are starting to feel better with that. But you can use the formula below and decide if you want to consume more. You can have it make up 30% of your daily protein intake. But I usually find that people don't get enough protein. They're getting way too many carbohydrates, especially the refined ones. So you want to make sure you're getting enough from your diet. And these are just ways I always say you can fill in the gaps. So collagen is a great way to do that. Again, just to recap, our enhanced collagen by Organika has been the #1 selling collagen powder in Canada for 4 years now, and it's compliant with Health Canada's regulations and very high quality standards. 9 grams of protein per serving. That's amazing. So you can like sneak that in different foods, different drinks to get your protein to where it needs to be each day. The enhanced collagen is a blend of type 1 and 3 collagen, grass-fed bovine, pasture-raised, free of hormones and antibiotics. It's flavorless and odorless, can be used in any hot or cold drink recipe. It's easily soluble, which means it mixes very quickly, and it has a low molecular weight, which means it gets absorbed really quickly. These are the 4 products from the enhanced collagen products that Yes Wellness has, and it's the enhanced collagen, which is the one I was just speaking about, and that's our type 1 and type 3. And then we also have a relaxed collagen, which basically we've taken the enhanced collagen and we've added some magnesium and L-theanine. So L-theanine is great because it's very calming. Magnesium, as you know, does over 350 things in the body. So if you want a little bit more relaxing ingredients like magnesium and L-theanine, that might be great for you. We also have a Vitality, which has some green matcha. Green matcha naturally has some L-theanine in there, but the matcha, of course, is a super high antioxidant and very, very, very tasty. So with the Vitality one, you will get a mild matcha taste. So they're all flavorless and odorless, but with the Vitality, because we've added that green matcha, you will get a mild matcha taste. Just wanted to mention that. And then we have our new Pure Beauty, which is super exciting if you're looking for a little bit more hair, skin, nail support, because it has hyaluronic acid, which is also great for joint health and vision and dry eyes, but hyaluronic acid is great for skin too. Vitamin C, silica, zinc in there, so that one is pretty exciting. I actually just started using it, so excited to see how it works. Here's a nice recipe for the Enhanced Collagen Relax. It's a raspberry dalgona collagen drink. And I have tried this one and it is quite good. There's so many recipes I have not tried yet, but I put all the recipes on here that I have tried. So pretty easy to do and looks and tastes just as good. So snap a photo of that and you can try it out. Just give you a second there. And then we have our matcha collagen latte. So as I did mention, here's a great recipe, and it does have that mild matcha latte. So you're not going to get as much caffeine and natural caffeine that matcha has. Like if you go to Starbucks and get a green matcha latte, that has a lot more caffeine. There's not as much. There's actually only 2.4 milligrams of caffeine because it's mixed in with collagen. So what I do sometimes is I'll whip some almond milk or warm some almond milk. You can froth it, do whatever you want, whatever milk you drink. And what I'll do is I'll take a tablespoon of the Vitality and put it in a mug with some hot water, mix it, and then add my milk on top. And it's really good and really good ingredients in there as well. That's all I do. You could add the coconut butter and all that other stuff, or just keep it super simple like I do. It tastes great both ways. And then I'll move on to marine collagen, because marine collagen is from fish, where the enhanced collagen is sourced from bovine. So marine collagen is really good for hair, skin, and nails. So if you're a person, like I mentioned, that just wants that support for hair, skin, and nails, you're not concerned about, joint health or anything like that, marine collagen may be for you. Maybe you're a pescatarian and you only eat fish, you don't eat bovine. So this marine collagen is a good option for people. It's a low molecular weight, which is absorbed very quickly. And ours is sourced from wild caught fish, and we use cod, and it's Canadian source, which is great. So fish or marine collagen is a type 1 collagen. So it's easy to mix, it's flavorless and odorless as well. So you can mix it in anything, just like the enhanced collagen. And lastly, I'm gonna move on to number 5, because this is super important. Vitamin D, are you getting enough? Especially at this time of year, I hope people are. But vitamin D is a sunshine vitamin, okay? It's sometimes called it is called the sunshine vitamin because it's produced in your skin's response to sunlight. Sun is the best source, okay? It's a fat soluble vitamin, which means we need good fats to absorb it well. And it's also a storing vitamin, which means we store it. So something like vitamin C is a water soluble vitamin. Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So we need fats, we store it. And it's really important because our body produces vitamin D naturally when we're exposed to sun. And we can also get it through certain foods and supplements to ensure we're getting adequate levels. But that's great in the summertime, but living in Canada and northern states in the US, when it gets colder, what do? We start covering up, right? Like we're not going to have our biggest surface area, which is our back and our chest, exposed to the sun like we do in the summer. And that's the biggest surface area to absorb the vitamin D. So in the wintertime, we might have like just our faces showing, which is not enough. And a lot of people, even in the summertime now, are covering their bodies with sunscreen a lot of the times. And it's really good to, get maybe 10 to 20 minutes of sun without sunscreen on in the summer to absorb, or any time of year, because it's really important to absorb that vitamin D from the sunshine. And a lot of people are using sunscreens a lot, so hopefully they're using clean sunscreens that you can probably get at Yes Wellness, and not ones that are full of chemicals. But it's really important to make sure you're getting enough, because we can really feel the effects of it if we're not. I always encourage people to test their vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is one of the root causes of so many conditions. So it costs $35 to get your vitamin D tested at Life Labs. So I encourage you to do it every year. It's the best 35 bucks you'll ever spend. I just got mine tested in, I think, November, and I was at 144. So you want to be at about 150, okay? And the range runs from 75 to 250, and most people are under 75. But you want to be at around 150, so that's your goal. Sunlight, again, of course, is the best source, but people are avoiding the sun. As I mentioned, they're putting lots of sunscreen on. So you want to make sure you're getting it if you're covering up and, in the winter months. So how much do you need? So the recommended daily allowance is now 2,500 or 2,500 for Canadian adults. And people that, if you think of people that live close to the equator, they naturally get 3,000 a day. So I personally take about 5,000 to 6,000 a day, but get tested, talk to your doctor, talk to your naturopathic doctor, and see where you're at. And I think it's almost necessary to use a vitamin D supplement in the winter time, because it's the root causes of so many things. So it's really important to make sure between 70 to 90% of North Americans don't get enough. Okay, so one question is how much protein do we need per day? Well, it really depends on the person and how much protein you need per day. Everyone is different. It really depends on your activity level, your body size, body weight. So it's kind of a tough one. You can use a formula, your body weight divided by 2 Usually people, depending on their activity, are between 60 and 90 grams of protein per day. But again, it really depends on the person. This chat box here. Okay. And then thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. Everyone's loving the recipe. Do you have products that are kids safe? That's a good question. So we do have a full Organika kids line, but generally, rule of thumb for kids is when kids turn 12, they can start using adult supplements. So sometimes people will lessen the dose of an adult supplement to give for kids, but you just want to check with your doctor. Kids after age 12 are into adult supplements. I'm just going to mute everyone again. There we go. Are into adult supplements. So I would just check with your doctor. It depends on the size of the kid. And then the electrolyte mixes are sweetened. Yeah, they're not sweet. There's zero sugar. There is a bit of stevia. And I have to say there's zero sugar. It tastes awesome. And sometimes I'm not a big fan of a strong stevia taste. This does not have it at all. It's just a very little bit of stevia they add. So it's a great electrolyte drink if you're interested in trying. And then I work in a teaching cafeteria and just had a big cup of chicken bone broth this afternoon. That's amazing. Yeah, so many good benefits there. Do those electrolyte mixes have artificial sweeteners? No, stevia. The chlorella powder has an algae-like taste, so tablets are a way to get all the benefits to avoid the taste. Yes, and as I mentioned, you can mix the chlorella powder into smoothies. I actually bought an organic lemonade when I first started trying chlorella and gave it to my kids, and I think it's the acidity of the lemons. You don't taste the algae-like taste. And then like the salad dressing recipe I shared, you don't taste it in there either. So there's lots of ways you can sneak it in if you want to do the powder. It's just so beneficial, especially if you're detoxing. Think of chlorella as a sponge that just soaks up all the toxins. I just love it. Does the powder have a taste? The chlorella powder, yes, it does. You'll see as we talked about, it does have a bit of a taste, but you can hide it. I've definitely been trying to fill my plate with more veggies than carbs. Yeah, that's just a great tip. Like a lot of people are swapping out, as I mentioned, swapping things like swapping their rice and their pastas and their breads for more greens. So our salad and our green vegetables is still a great carbohydrate. It's a good source of carbohydrate, but you're getting more fiber. So that fiber buffers that insulin spike, whereas that pasta, that rice, that bread, it'll just totally spike it and then you'll crash. And you're not drawing a lot of nutritional benefits from the refined pastas, breads, and rices. You get it more from the green leafy vegetables and just the vegetables in general. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys learned a little bit, and I hope you all have a good rest of your evening. Bye for now.